Greetings, and peace. My name is Ram Hotep, broadcasting on behalf of the number 13 ScienceAstrology.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. On this episode, I want to talk about art. And I want to talk about the dark side of art. Because usually when we think about art, we look at the final product. We look at the end result. However, we don't get a chance to really see what goes on behind the scenes, or what we would call the back end of art. And I want to talk about the dark side. See, art comes from a very dark place. Even though we see art in the light, and the cameras and the action, and we think that's the art, but that's only for the spectator. But for the person that's involved in the craft, you're going to discover and uncover your art, or whatever your art is, from a very dark position in your life. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason for this that I'll go into in a second. However, what I want to do now is I want to analyze just quickly a few people that are great artists from different walks of life, and talk about some of the things they went through to bring you the art that they brought you. For instance, I woke up and I was thinking about Marvin Gaye. And Marvin Gaye was one of the best musicians in the 70s, one of the best artists, made some great music, everyone loves him. However, Marvin Gaye was severely beaten by his father. His father was jealous of him. And I believe from the pain that he experienced, and from the scars and the bruises that he got from his father, this is what helped him to become such a great artist. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, great artist. He was, again, another person that was locked into a room. Him and his brothers, especially him, and his father severely punished him and beat him and made him practice and practice and practice. His father was an artist manager. Why was he doing that? See, his father, some people could say his father was crazy, or his father is crazy, or whatever, or what may have you. But I'm not here to judge the father as to what he did. I'm here to talk about how the pain shaped and molded him into the king of pop, Michael Jackson. See, this is why he was the greatest. He was the greatest because he went through something. And it doesn't stop with musicians. See, when you learn about the occult, and when you decide to teach the occult, you are an artist. First, you are an artist. And I'm going to name a couple of occultists that I look up to, and people that influence me, such as Aleister Crowley. Now, Aleister Crowley, though he was born rich, semi-rich, he was born into a wealthy family, he went through something to get to the point where he was at, to bring you all the information that he brought you. His mother at a young age called him the beast, or the devil. And the reason for this was because when his father died, he went through a transition and a turning point in his life. See, his father, prior to that, was his protection. And had not his father had died, he would have never became what he became. He would have never brought you the information that he was able to bring you. This man got STDs. This man got into several different relationships and experienced a lot of brutal things in these relationships. And people judge him and they call him the devil and say don't quote him and things of this nature. But look at what he did with the pain and the bruises and the things that he went through. Noble Drew Ali, another occultist is what I name him, that influenced me. And he was severely beaten by his mother at a young age, by his grandmother, actually, I believe it was. And he was severely beaten. Many people don't know this, and bruised, and went through a lot of pain to the point where he was sickly as a young child. And this is why he was so great. This is what made him so great, was because of the pain and the experiences that he went through. You see, when I was a Muslim coming up, we had this little story, and it talked about the creation of how Allah or God or whatever you want to call this being created itself. And it says that Allah or God created itself out of triple darkness, out of the womb and space. It was total blackness. And he used this darkness to create himself and to form and to shape and mold itself. Because I look at it as as a consciousness. And you went through the same stage in order to get here. You came through your mother's womb. This was a very dark and violent place. Even the act of sex and how you got here, this is a very violent, sometimes dark act. It's one of the things that people don't like talking about. Sex is very taboo. It's something that we keep in the bedroom. However, it's the highest form of art. See, all creation is a form of art. And why am I saying this? Because I'm saying this because we have artists out there. You know who you are. We have people that have talents and gifts. And the only way that you're going to discover your hidden treasure is that you're going to have to go to the depths of the ocean. If you want to rise to the top, you're going to have to go to the bottom. See, it's an old saying that goes in the streets, and it says you're going to have to stay down until you come up. That's right. You got to stay down until you come up, which means that you're going to have to descend in order for you to ascend. When you study Ifa, we study about a being by the name of Olokun. And Olokun, his hidden treasure was buried within the depths of the ocean. This is where his riches was buried at. Everybody was looking for this. He was supposed to be like the richest entity according to the Yoruba mysteries. Nobody knew where he hid his treasure. And this is because his treasure was hidden in his shit, in the filth, in his darkness, in his bullcrap. This is where he found his hidden treasure, and this is where his gifts lie. So people, they want the lights, the camera, the action, the money, the cars, and they look at artists like they don't have to go through anything to get to where they got, but they don't see the dark side and the behind the scenes aspect of being an artist and the drug abuse. For instance, our sister Whitney Houston, beautiful sister, beautiful voice, but nobody seemed really, except for those that were close to her, nobody seemed to care about the pain that she went through to bring you this music, which is one of the arts that I'm going to go into in a second. This video is dedicated to the artists. See, all of you are artists. It's just that, are you willing to go through the haters? Are you willing to go through the situations of being challenged with drug abuse and becoming an addict and a victim? Are you willing to go through the lonely nights, the nightmares? Are you willing to go through death? Are you willing to shed some blood in order for you to make this art? Because even in the act of creation, when you talk about how you got here, which is the highest form of art, some blood was shed. Your father had to shed blood, which semen is a form of blood. And not only that, but your mother shed blood in order for you to get here. She sat on a table and went through the woes of childbirth and child pain in order to bring this highest form of creation, which is you, to this planet. So art comes from a dark place. So you don't get caught up and look at the lights, the cameras, the glamours, and the glitz and think that that's just what's going to happen. All you got to do is sign a contract or get on TV, and then next thing you know, you're going to be a made woman or made man, and everything's going to come easy to you. And then you looking at all, and then people are going to be jealous of you. The reason why these people are jealous is because of the fact that they don't know what you have to go through to get there. They're just looking at the end result, that you're there and you're in that seat, but nobody sees the dark side. See, it talks about the Emerald Tablets, and I'm not going to read too much of it, but I want to quote this, and then I'm going to go into the 7 arts, and then I'll shut down. And it talks about, it's a verse that says, "Know ye, this earth is but a portal, guarded by powers unknown to man. Yet the Dark Lords hide the entrance that leads to the heaven-born land. Know ye, the way to the sphere of Arulu is guarded by barriers open only to the light-born man or woman." So what is that saying? It's saying that in order for you to get to heaven, which is what everybody wants when they think to becoming a musician or becoming an entertainer or a speaker or orator or a great writer and being renowned for it and successful at it and having so-called followers and fans, everybody wants that. They think they want that, but somewhere along the line, nobody told you that the Dark Lords guard that. You have to go through the Dark Lords, or you have to wrestle with the Dark Lords in order for you to get to heaven. See, nobody wants to talk about that. There's 7 arts, and you should know this before you can get into any type of art or science. You should know the 7 basic arts, because many of you are artists but don't realize it, because you were never taught the 7 basic arts. Everything in creation revolves around the number 7, because 7 completes the circle. It's a very mystical number. And one of the arts is grammar. Grammar, that's the first art. And what is grammar? Grammar is learning. See, if you want to be an artist, you have to study and learn about whatever field that you're going into. And when you learn and study about this, you have to engulf yourself in it. Like when Michael Jackson became a good basketball player, he had to study the doctrine of basketball. He had to learn and engulf himself into the art of basketball. He had to put a spell on himself. When you look up the term grammar, and look up the etymology of it, you'll see that one of the meanings of it is a spell. Because when you learn about something and you engulf yourself in that information, which is what you're going to have to do to become a good artist, you have to cast a spell on yourself, which means that you eat, sleep, and shit that particular doctrine or grammar. So that's the first aspect of art. The second aspect of art is rhetoric. Rhetoric. And rhetoric is the orator becoming a speaker and being able to talk about what it is that you do. LeBron James is not only a good basketball player, but he can actually talk about and teach one some of his skills, and he's able to demonstrate. This is what we call it the temple. He's able to demonstrate his art and talk about his art. See, there's a lot of people out there, they want to be artists and things of that nature, but you don't know enough about what it is that you're into. You can't teach one. You can't demonstrate it to another person. So that's the second aspect of art. The third aspect of art is when you get into the logic aspect. Notice that it's going up a ladder here. The logic aspect goes into reason. This is when you're not just quoting things from, say, for instance, you're not just quoting things from the NBA manual or just quoting statistics, because you got a lot of people, they think they know about the game. For instance, a lot of men out there, they watch a lot of basketball and they just quote stats and things of that nature. But are you able to articulate and to come to conclusions based off the information that you know about your art? And this is called reason. When you're not just quoting information out of the playbook manual, but you're able to come up with your own plays. This is called reason. The fourth aspect of art is called arithmetic. Arithmetic. And this is going into the higher aspects of art. See, there's 3 levels to it on the first level, and then there's a second level, and it's 4 aspects, which makes 7. You have 3 plus 4. The first 3 are grammar, rhetoric, and logic. The last 4 is arithmetic, which is 1, and this is going into numbers. See, all art goes back to numbers. This is why even in astrology, we study numerology. Like I always quote in my videos, this is why when you see Neo about to go into the Matrix and he was being plugged in, he was being beamed into the Matrix, he would always see a series of numbers and algorithms, because numbers are the basis of art. Numbers. Second is geometry. And geometry is numbers, which is the basis of art, playing out in space and time. This is what geometry is. So when you see, for instance, a spiral, you have to go back to the Fibonacci sequence, which is a set of numbers that makes that spiral what it is. When you see a square, this is a set of numbers or a formula that makes that square what it is. When you see a triangle or a tetrahedron, is what it would be called. This is a formula or a set of numbers. So geometry is very important in any art. See, a basketball player has to have a certain form. He has to have a certain position if he's going to slam dunk a ball and shoot a ball a certain way. And scientists, when they study this basketball player, they can come up with algorithms and formulas, and they can look at his form and tell as to whether or not he's going to make that shot. And they'll say, well, his form was off. This is going into the geometry aspect of art. So every art has a geometrical aspect to it. Then you have music, which is another aspect of art, music. And music is harmonics. And this is numbers playing out in time. See, music is based on a tempo. Different tempos make the beat or make the song what it is. Like some songs are slow. That's based on a tempo. These are numbers playing out in time. Beats per minute is what it's called. So music is definitely one of the arts and sciences. And art and science goes hand in hand, by the way. Then you have, last but not least, which is very important, You have astrology or cosmology, and this is numbers playing out in space and time. Space and time. So what do we mean by that? Astrology is when you look at a body that takes up space, and then that body is in motion and moving in a certain rhythm. So astrology is the highest art and the highest science, because you're looking at space and bodies playing out in time. So this is when you get into predicting things. Astrology is the highest form of art because it incorporates numbers, it incorporates geometry, it incorporates grammar, it incorporates logic, all the things that I named before that. It takes all of that to be a good astrologer. You have to study all of those sciences to be a good astrologer. And this is why an astrologer can consult a basketball player and give him good information about how to play the game better, or what's going on with him mentally, so that he can become a better basketball player. This is why an astrologer can consult a stockbroker and teach him how to become a better stockbroker. It's because no matter what, everything is based on numbers playing out in time here in the Matrix. Because in the Matrix, we're in a time shell. And astrology or cosmology is the study of these numbers playing out within the Matrix. So I'm saying all that to say that art comes from a dark place, and it comes from within. It comes from within your own temple. It comes from within your own vessel, which is darkness. You can't see within inside of yourself. And what's going to make you a good artist is your ability to go through the darkness so that you can become one of the light. This is why I teach that you have to be a left-hand path worker as well as a right-hand path worker. You have to be a good artist, you can't just be on the light, the side of light, and be a good artist. You have to know about the dark side. You have to discover, which means to uncover your dark side if you're going to become a good artist, because your dark side is going to come back at you in the form of people. They're going to challenge you. Once you become successful at it, you're going to be challenged daily. They're going to try to shut you down, whatever it is that you do. Every artist that I consult some pretty professional people. I have different type of artists that I consult, whether they are musicians or basketball players or football players or what have you. And there's different artists, teachers, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that are successful. They always talk about the dark aspects and the things they have to go through. They're always wrestling. Just like they say, Jacob wrestled with the devil. They're always wrestling with the devil or the evils. So this is why, like in religion, and a lot of people that are religious seem that they can't really make it in the artist field. They say it's too hard, or it's just too much attention, and they just want to stay low key, and that's fine. And this is because in religion, they don't really teach you about your dark side. They just teach you all about the light. And the light is the final product. You got to remember that. But there would be no light if it wasn't for darkness, because all darkness is light. However, in order for you to separate it and differentiate it, you have to have knowledge. You have to be able to pierce through the fog. So this is just dedicated to all the artists out there. All the Starseed Renaissance movement is based on art and science, and teaching people not necessarily to be what another person is, but to discover who you are. This is what I do. I help people, artists and different types of people all the time, because it's about discovering who you are. In religion, they give you a ready-made solution and say, well, you are all Christians, or you are all Muslims, and this is the final product. But in astrology and in cosmology, we look at the universe and the way, the patterns and shapes that it forms, and we teach a person what they are based on what the universe and the art that the universe put forth, and we interpret it that way. So I hope this helped. I hope you learned something from this video, and until we meet again, I'm going to leave you in Hotep, Wadu, and peace.